Hi, I'm Karen Collins. Thanks for joining me today as we talk about ways that we can make those habit changes for weight loss or better overall health a little bit easier to accomplish. We'll be talking with Dr. Rebecca Krakowski, who's a clinical psychologist and assistant professor in the Department of Preventive Medicine at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center in Memphis. Dr. Krakowski's work involves the use of self-monitoring and other ways that we set up the environment around us that can support those behavior changes we want to accomplish. When it comes to weight loss, you've found that self-monitoring is really one of the areas that you work with a lot, right?
Definitely. It's one strategy that study after study shows that it's quite strongly related with weight loss. And that's really the most consistent and on the strong side of the predictors. Although the research is still limited in terms of what might be the impact, the differential success based on some of these other strategies.
When we're thinking about these different options for self-monitoring, there's a lot of different ways, and maybe one of the things to consider is if someone says, oh, I've done that before, maybe that's a difference in the form or how it's done, right?
Sure, yes. For many years, paper and pencil was our only option. And now we have quite a few more options. And so people may have tried paper and pencil, and they may find self-monitoring online or using an app easier. And maybe that small improvement in the ease of doing it actually is enough for people to actually follow through on it. And there's other ways of being more aware of what you're doing that may not be as effortful as dietary self-monitoring. So wearing a Fitbit or some other tracking device gives you a sense of how many steps you put in during that day. Or I know some of the new monitors monitor your sleep, and certainly that's emerging as a predictor of weight maintenance as well as potentially weight loss success.
So there's really sort of two different, even broad categorization of monitoring. One is monitoring your behavior, like your eating habits or your physical activity or something. And the other would be monitoring the outcome, like tracking daily self-weighing or blood pressure or whatever it is that you might be tracking.
Sure, and it's not an all or nothing approach as well. It's not that you need to go full out meal replacements and dietary self-monitoring and exercise self-monitoring and wearing your activity tracker and doing all of these things. It could be that you decide to weigh yourself, or you decide that it's really important that I'm aware of how many steps I take each day. So I'm going to wear a fitness tracker. And maybe that experience can help you move to the next step. And there may be some people that want to go all out at the beginning, and that's fine too, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Fine-tune as you go along. I think you also talked about that. I know from my clients that I worked with, sometimes they were overwhelmed at the thought of all this monitoring. And so we said, okay, well, let's find what's the toughest thing? What are you really struggling with? Do you want to just maybe monitor that? Or what is the goal that you're working on? And if you're really not setting a goal about it, maybe you don't need to monitor it right now and just monitor your goal or some selective version of this, right?
Right. And I find that people tend to self-monitor the easy things. So
we like to see our successes.
Well, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. So, you may eat every morning oatmeal squares and blueberries and milk and a cup of coffee. And it's really easy to click that button every morning. I self-monitored my breakfast. But in fact, it may actually be potentially more helpful, we don't know for sure, to self-monitor those really challenging meals where you've gone out to eat and you're at this Italian restaurant and the plate is this big and the pasta's that big and you totally overeat. And so maybe it's more helpful to focus on self-monitoring just those eating out meals, which may be, I don't know, 3 or 4 meals out of the entire week.
A little more work to do it, but actually that may be where you get basically your bang for your buck is in
Right.
terms of the benefit.
Right, you might be able to say, oh gosh, the pasta that I ate was not so bad. I had them package up half, and I really focused on eating the vegetables in that dish. But gosh, the bread really took
The bread
me over.
basket.
Yeah, took me over the top, and it wasn't that good anyways. So maybe in the future, I keep doing what I did in terms of the pasta. That strategy worked really well for me, but I'm going to forego the bread. It just didn't work for me.
Oh, that's great. So these tools have so much potential for use in many ways.